Welcome to the ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright, an exciting thrill ride through the wonderful world of HBCU athletics. Before our trip begins, let's set a few ground rules. First, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Second, hit the like button. Third, please be sure to tell someone else about this show. Now that we've got these things out of the way, it's time for our journey to begin. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your ride.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the ride here on a wonderful Sunday night. You know what to do. Make sure you hit the like button early and often. My guest, Wilton Jackson, he'll be up in just a moment. But you guys know, as we do every Sunday nights, time to fire it up as we get into the montage from a busy and great week number 5. And we'll get it started with the MEAC, or the CAA, I should say. We had the Elon Phoenix taking on those Hampton Pirates. Elon, they defended their home turf well, but Hampton came to play, rushing out to a 20-17 lead in the third quarter. But then Landon Clark, part of his 169 in the air, 135 of that to Isaiah Furman with a touchdown. Jamil Williams, 13 rushes, 172 and another TD. They scored the last 24 points to defeat a game Hampton Pirate team, sending them to 1-4, 0-2 in the CAA. Hampton, next week you get back home as you got the rivals in the Battle of the Bay with Norfolk State coming in there. Also in the CAA, a very game North Carolina A&T Aggie squad. They fell down 37-16 entering the fourth quarter, but then Kevin White led a furious rally, but it just fell short to those Maine Black Bears. 37-30, Carter Peavy, 298 in the air, 2 touchdowns, a rushing TD, a big 81-yarder to Nick Laughlin, part of their 479 total yards. The Aggies, next week, they stay in the CAA and they'll go visit William and Mary. In the Big South OVC, it was the opener of the conference for both of these teams. Tennessee Tech came in ranked number 11 in the country. They looked the part. Vis Paris was good. Quinn, 107 on the ground and a touchdown, forced 3 Tennessee State turnovers and only 49 rush yards. This was 35-0 before Tennessee State managed to get 2 field goals and a safety late. Tennessee State 1-3 on the year. They get their first road game of the year next week at Eastern Illinois. Now we go to the MEAC. Oh my gosh, who saw this one coming? Charleston Southern Buccaneers won their first game in 14 tries, 31-24 at home. Kamarion Baldwin, 18 rushes, 122, 2 touchdowns, part of his game-winning 10-yard TD run with 1:06 remaining. Ryan Stubblefield lost. He was game. He had 2 rushing TDs. But in the end, the Bulldogs never led in this one with 3 turnovers, all fumbled. Oh, tough one for the Bulldogs. Next week, they got homecoming with Savannah State coming to Orangeburg. Also, Morgan State, second week in a row. It wasn't pretty, but they found a way. This one, the Circle City Classic in Indy. Miles was game all the way, had him right down to the end, ready to kick a 22-yard field goal. But then it was blocked. Jaden Carter, 94 yards, picks it up and takes it to the house. 24-17, Morgan State, another close one. But again, it's a win, 2-3 on the year. Next week, they go to Georgetown. Offense, more offense, and even more offense down there in Commerce, Texas. North Carolina Central Eagles, Walker Harris, 288 in the air, 2 TDs and a rush TD. Chris Mosley, kept it solid with another rush TD. Chauncey Spikes, welcome to the party. 113 receiving and a touchdown. Part of 510 yards of offense. That was a good thing. But then they gave up 457 to a game, East Texas A&M Lions. This game was 50-28. And then East Texas A&M battled and forced it down to an onside kick late. But the Central Eagles hold on 50-42, headed into a bye week. And they need it because they played 6 straight weeks. And when they get off the bye week, Florida A&M is where they're going. Oh, Norfolk State, we just can't figure you out week to week. It looked like you had your offense going last week. This week, you rush out to a 13-0 halftime lead. Then you go scoreless in the entire second half. 3 punts, 2 interceptions. Oh, part of a 18-13 loss to the Wagner Seahawks. Wagner gets his first win of the season as Andre Hines Jr., 108 yards rushing, led the way. Norfolk, they're 1-4. Next week, they go to Hampton. Oh, in this game, gonna love to talk about this one later and get everybody's thoughts. Caden Bennett, the star quarterback, was ejected in the first quarter. They were swimming uphill a little bit, but even still, Delaware State kept their rushing attack roaming. Marquise Gillis had a 75-yard touchdown run with 2 TDs. They led 31-17 at the half, but then Jack Snyder rallied the Pioneers, 298 yards passing, 2 TDs, both of them to Jason Palmieri. They outgained Delaware State by over 100 yards in the second half, holding them scoreless to win 35-31. Delaware State 3-2 on the year. Next week, they hit the road and go to Monmouth. Still, it is Howard. Still, every week bringing a bigger effort than what you expected. This week, they led 12-0 entering the fourth quarter. But then, Tariq Starks threw 2 big interceptions on consecutive drives, and Richmond cashed both of them in for touchdowns. Still, Matt Conard had a chance to win the game late. 36-yard field goal went off the upright. Richmond survives 13-12. As they move to 3-2 on the year, Howard, they fall to 3-2 as they get ready for a bye week. When they come off, they go to play Sacred Heart. Now we head to the SWAC, and it was a little bit of a sparse crowd here in Memphis for the Southern Heritage Classic. UAPB Golden Lions with a surprising shocker, keeping the Alcorn State Braves winless. Christian Peters, 323 in the air, had the game-winning rushing touchdown with just over 5 minutes remaining. Kareem Burke, 102 in the air receiving. Jalen Tolbert was game. Jacorian Sewell, 23 rushes, 225 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But it wasn't enough. UAPB, 2-2 on the year, 1-0 in the SWAC. Alcorn, Prairie View comes to the reservation. UAPB will go to Texas Southern. Speaking of Texas Southern, you got a crazy fake punt that was tried by the Delta Devils with just over 2 minutes remaining, leading by 4. It was unsuccessful. Then KJ Cooper throws a 50-yard pass into the red zone. Etienne Renfro, part of his 2 touchdowns. He gets the game winner with just over a minute remaining to help the Tigers steal one in Itabena, 23-20. 1-3 on the year, 1-1 in the SWAC for Texas Southern. They got UAPB next. The Delta Devils will go to Atlanta and face FAMU. And my boys, no defense this week. But Bethune-Cookman was so game. Cam Ransom, 217 in the air, 2 touchdowns. Devon Ross, 5 receptions, 108, a touchdown and another touchdown rushing on the reverse. Ali Scott Jr., game winner, 26 yards out with 107 remaining. Eric Hanley, he was good in this game, but just not enough defense for the Bulldogs as they fall 41-34 down there in Daytona. Bethune-Cookman, they go to Alabama State for their homecoming next week. A&M, it's on the Mobile to face Jackson State. Prairie View takes another State Fair Classic. 28-13 in this one as they shut down the Tigers, forcing Zayt set to throw 3 interceptions. Tevin Carter had a rush TD. Lamaje McDowell had a rush TD. It was part of their 4 in total. Prairie View, 28-13, moving to 2-0 in the SWAC. They head to the reservation next week to take on the winless Alcorn State, while Grambling gets a much-needed bye week before they face Texas Southern. Into the final 2, you got Alabama State. They exercised 5 years of demons by going down and hammering the FAMU Rattlers 42-14. Andrew Body, 2 touchdowns in the air. Jalen Jones caught both of them. Marcus Harris, 3 rushing TDs on the day. Alabama State stymied these guys all day as they move to 3-1 and they start 1-0 in the SWAC. FAMU 1-3. Got to get some answers. Next week, Alabama State against Bethune-Cookman. FAMU is against Valley in Atlanta. And last but not least, the big one, the Boombox Classic down there in Baton Rouge. The 7th consecutive victory for Jackson State. 38-13 as they break it open in the second half. Jacoby and Morgan, 337 in the air, 2 touchdowns. Ahmad Miller, Nathan Rimbert, everybody who had a hand in the offense, 534 total yards. The Jaguars continue to reel. 1-4 on the year, 0-1 in the SWAC. Next week, Jackson State plays Alabama A&M in Mobile, and Southern, they get another bye week where they'll face Bethune-Cookman. Wow, what a crazy week of action. And now with all that, ladies and gentlemen, I say good evening for the first time tonight to my boy, Wilton Jackson. What's up, my guy?
What's going on, Wayne? It's good to be here, man.
Hey, man. We are blessed and highly favored, and it was crazy week of games, but let's jump right in. Let's go right to the big one, man. Take the wheel, man. You got this one. Let's hear from you.
You got Jackson State, you had Southern. This was a game that really both teams needed. You had a Jackson State team obviously coming off of a win against Tuskegee, but obviously that was a smaller tier opponent. And I think people really wanted to see what Jacoby and Morgan was going to do in terms of where he could lead this team. And obviously Jackson State got off to a slow start. This was a game, I want to say at halftime it was like 17-13, and then Jackson State broke it open. And I think that once Jacoby and Morgan kind of found his way to get more comfortable in the pocket and really just connecting with his receivers, right? I think one of those first passes on the opening drive for Jackson State's opening drive in the third quarter, he missed a slant route. And you could see, if the receiver, if he connects with the receiver, it's an automatic touchdown. It's 6 points. And then he gets a chance on that same drive, he ends up connecting with Janaylon Dupree, if I'm not mistaken, and he gets that touchdown. That kind of set the tone for the rest of that game. Of course, they were able to sustain runs and things of that nature. But this game was really about seeing where Jacoby and Morgan could lead this team. And granted, it was more so about, can he put the ball downfield in terms of putting it in the air to his receivers? Because, of course, we have seen him connect with his receivers in short yardage situations and, through screen passes and things like that. But the biggest thing that we saw him do last year that we hadn't seen him doing these first couple of weeks of the season was putting the ball in the air. And that was the key to that. I mean, of course, being able to do that is having a strong play from your offensive line up front. Jackson State defense pitched a shutout in the second half. Southern is a team that also kind of, I want to say in so many ways, and this is no discredit to Jackson State, of course, but in some ways, Southern killed themselves in terms of penalties. And then also the overarching situation when you start talking about Southern still remains who's going to be a quarterback. Of course, you had Strother who came in, who was the starting quarterback for the Jaguars, but then you had Cameron McCoy come in on multiple occasions, really more so in like specific packages. They're going to have to decide that. Coach Graves, and the reason I say that, they're going to decide who's going to be the quarterback, or if it's going to be this 2-quarterback system, they got to find a way to continue to build more continuity on offense, or if not, this is going to be a long, long year, and more so than anything, a long SWAC West play for Southern over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and the thing that was so crazy is Southern with and you mentioned the penalties. Both teams, they had a combined, both teams committed 13 penalties.
Yep.
And there were so many penalties. I know Southern, they had 8 of their penalties before halftime.
Yep.
I mean, and it was just silly ones, holdings, personal fouls, different things like that. Jackson State even had the same one with the legal blindside block that took a touchdown off the board before they eventually got one back.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of discipline.
Oh no, for sure. And I 2 things I mentioned. I think one of the biggest penalties of the game that really helped Jackson State in their favor was when Southern defense ran into the kicker.
Yep.
And deep in Jackson State's own end zone, and then that allowed that drive to continue versus like Jackson State punting the ball And I think more so than anything, Coach Taylor talked about that at the end of the game on the broadcast, how while he was glad he got the win, there were still things that he needs to clean up. And if you know Coach T.C. Taylor, he is a stickler for discipline. He's a stickler for not having penalties. Even if the game was good, they won the game, like I can guarantee you he's going to be on his guys really, really heavy tomorrow during practice.
Yeah, and, Jacobian Morgan, he was really good. Now, a lot of people have been saying a lot of things on a lot of shows. People have been saying a lot of things on social media talking about Jacobian Morgan isn't any good and whatever. And for me, what I'd always said was, look, you saw who he could be in spots last year. You even saw who he was during the Celebration Bowl.
Right.
We had yet to see it this year. And then last night, you really saw what he could be. I mean, 337, 2 TDs, no interceptions, no turnovers either from him.
Yeah.
So he took care of the ball in a mighty way. He was able to spread the ball around.
Yeah.
But if you're Southern, you mentioned one of the key penalties. You mentioned running into Beza, who was punting in the end zone that extended the drive. But then falling asleep in coverage on that 51-yard touchdown to Janalen Dupree just before the half, that was really the backbreaker, because at that point, Trey Holly had it rolling. Strother was serviceable. I mean, now he
was manageable.
Yeah, he was manageable. He missed a lot of plays. Like, I thought that Coach Fred McNair called a pretty good game for him. There were times where, hey, kid, just turn the ball loose. Don't get happy in the pocket. Stay in there. Trust the play. Make the right read. Throw the ball. There were plays that were there to be made. And then once they didn't capitalize, and you know about this with Jackson State in this day and age, in this era, if you don't capitalize on the opportunities that you get in front of you, they will make you pay every single time.
Absolutely. And I think to your point, when you were talking about Southern and Coach McNair calling the plays, there were a lot of times where Strother, and they even said it on the broadcast, and as you're watching the game, there were some passes that he could have made, because there was like especially in that middle portion of the field where some of the receivers were open, maybe not necessarily the entire time, but for like certain split seconds. And it's like, hey, can you not read this? Can you not see this? But then you also have to consider that this was one of his first starts coming into this game against Jackson State. So you kind of have to say to yourself, okay, you live with this, experience for him in this game, even though obviously you go into a game, you want to win the game. You can only hope that he's going to build from this. He was like, you have the stats here. He was 10 of 20, 120 yards. You hope that, when Southern takes the field again, that he'll build from this experience. Or will the situation become Cameron McCoy's the starter? I don't know if that's going to happen. I personally don't see that happening like that right now. I think it's still going to be we have Strother, we have Cameron McCoy at both of them playing quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate that, but they will certainly have to decide what that looks like for the success of their season.
Yeah, and I saw Jalen Woods. He wasn't even in uniform. He was on the sideline.
Yep.
So they're going to a bye week. That is Southern. I know they just had one before this game, but it's crazy. They're having another one before they go down and they play Bethune-Cookman. But, before we move off of this game, where do you see Southern being able to recover from this? I know that they can still win the West because this is not killing them. They can still take care of business moving forward. But do you possibly see any way of these guys coming back and doing something?
Oh, absolutely. You got to think this is a Southern team at one point last year that we were kind of still questioning in the very beginning of the season. Well, not even so much the beginning, but like mid to late September, before they went on that run in late October and then into November, where they were able to pick up continuous wins. Granted, those wins came in some crazy situations, late game situations at that, but they were able to win, because at the end of the day, a win is a win. So I'm not counting Southern out just yet. And then I think I give a much needed like connection to Coach Graves. The way he's able to get his troops to, get his players to rally around him, and the, what he's been able to do with that program. I just think that when you have a coach like Coach Graves, I think they're going to be able to bounce back. I don't necessarily know if they're going to win the SWAC West, but I don't expect them to stay where they are right now.
All right, I agree with that. And I know as for Jackson State, they have a lot of things they still need to clean up, but this was a solid second half performance, and it's something that they're definitely going to carry forward. So the next one, we'll pop back here. We'll talk about how Alabama State just basically went down there and just put their foot all through FAMU. I mean, this game was I know it was 14-6 at half, but you never got the feeling that the game was even this close. Your thoughts?
No. Here's the thing. When I knew that this was the game, obviously Alabama State playing FAMU this week, I said to myself, I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, okay, Andrew Body's playing exceptionally well. Like Alabama State's offense looks very lethal. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, now we get into conference play. I know what he's done in out of non-conference play, but we get into conference play, and things change when you get into conference play. And I said to myself, if this was ever a week where FAMU wanted to potentially make a statement and kind of maybe somewhat start righting the ship from where it has started for them, this would be the week, and this could be the week that we see some challenges coming upon Alabama State. But personally, I said to myself, if Alabama State plays the way that they've been playing, this won't be a game. And it wasn't a game. Like Andrew Body, granted, you look at his stats, 10 of 18, 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. He didn't have to necessarily throw the ball that much because their running game was lethal. I mean, lethal. Like Marcus Harris, 3 rushing touchdowns, Jamari Holtzclaw. Like their running backs were so dynamic in this game that Andrew Body didn't even necessarily have to throw for 300 yards because I bet you if you asked anybody coming into this game, considering how FAMU's defense hadn't been necessarily what we projected it to be, we could have easily saw Andrew Body throw at least 250 yards and probably 2 touchdowns, right? But he didn't necessarily have to do that because his running game was that strong. And I think that this is a recipe for success. And I think that a lot of people forget, or some may not have forgotten, that like for the last couple of years, Alabama State's defense has been super strong. The only thing that they were missing was a quarterback. And now that Andrew Body is healthy, the SWAC East should be very, very nervous. Any team, Jackson State, Alabama A&M, like and those games are coming up. We're gonna get to see what he looks like in that competition. But this is definitely a really dangerous Alabama State team with a hungry and prolific Andrew Body playing, but then also when they have their running game going like that, I mean, it's scary.
Yeah, and man, for these guys to get outscored 28-8 in the second half
at Bragg,
I mean, completely punked. Had the crowd quiet. Even many of them left early. I mean, it just you could tell.
That's not a typical scene you see in Tallahassee on a Saturday. No. This is a raucous environment. Fans are, the way their stadium is kind of set up, it kind of sits on top of you a little bit. So you just didn't expect that per se. Like I said, I didn't predict FAMU to beat Alabama State, but I didn't necessarily think that it was going to be this bad. I just thought to myself that, this is an opportunity for, let's see what FAMU is going to do in terms of conference play. But I said to myself, I don't see them beating Alabama State if Andrew Body and company are really aligned. And I think that, believe it or not, I was also beyond Andrew Body and what the offense did. I was really also interested to see how the Hornets defense responded too, because granted, this was a defense last year that was offering up no more than about 14, 15 points a game.
About maybe that,
less than 200 yards of offense at one point, so they had some games where they were giving up some points and some offense, but yesterday against FAMU, it was like total domination on both sides of the ball. If you're a coach, if you coach Eddie Robinson, you can't ask for a better performance from your team.
No, and the thing that I've heard a lot of the FAMU people and even other fans and other followers have criticized James Colsey about is his dedication to RJ Johnson. Sticking with him. I mean, clearly he had another day yesterday. We were struggling. You look at that 20 for 33. You needed 33 attempts just to throw for 133 yards. That's not lighting it up. And also Thad Franklin, he's supposed to be your bell cow. Colsey told me when I asked him last week on the coach's call, he said where Thad Franklin goes, he goes, we'll go as far as he carries us. Well, only getting 13 rushes. Now, granted, a lot of that had to do with the fact that they fell behind by so much early, had to abandon it. Yeah. But these guys they're in big trouble. And Colsey said, we're going to turn it around. If we don't, he said, and this is how he said it. He said, if we don't turn it around, my ass is out of here. That's what he said yesterday. And it's true.
That's real. That is the most real statement he could have said, because this is a fan base. And just like I know, certain fan bases, every fan base expects their team to win. But certain fan bases, FAMU, Jackson State, Southern, even Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
If you don't win, the chirping, the noise, the chatter, the streets, as we like to call them, will begin to chatter and you'll be out. So,
yes, sir.
I don't know how much more time he has. I'm not saying he's going to get fired tomorrow per se, but I can assure you from the things that I'm hearing about FAMU, no one's happy right now.
No. And there's a tough road ahead for FAMU.
Yeah.
You still got Jackson State coming.
Yep. 1st of November.
Yep. You still have Alabama A&M on the road. Look, next week against Valley in Atlanta.
Yeah. And I'm sure most fans haven't forgot about what happened in that game last year.
Nope, not at all. But for Alabama State, man, they just keep on rolling. And next week they get back home, and it's their homecoming. Yeah. They got Bethune-Cookman coming. And so, now we'll talk about the State Fair Classic. Man, this is the 7th win in 8 attempts that Prairie View has over Grambling in this game. Yeah. Grambling yesterday did nothing. All struggles all the time. You look at Zayt stat line there. Yeah. When I was putting this together, I was like, I knew that they had struggles, but when I saw 21 out of 43 for 161, and then he threw those 3 interceptions. Like that, it was all struggles. And Prairie View, to their credit, they didn't necessarily play the most cleanest game themselves, but they did what they needed to do on the ground.
Yep. No, and you kind of mentioned it when you were talking about your highlights in the montage in the beginning. Lamaje McDowell, 98 rushing yards and a touchdown. That was like, he was a big force in helping Prairie View win this game. But I think that it's so interesting because the SWAC West is just really wide open every single year. And you remember, you just asked me, like, did I see Southern, potentially making a comeback before the end of the season? Like right now, you really can't tell who's going to come out of the SWAC West. But based off this weekend and considering some other factors, you have to say that Prairie View is probably right now, arguably maybe the most complete team in terms of the teams on the SWAC West side right now. And that's saying that knowing that they're not perfect in where they are right now. So when you think about this and Coach Tremaine Jackson getting this win, his first in this classic against Grambling, not only does it bode well for him in that, but then too, can Prairie View continue to build on this momentum? And how does this look for them in terms of building more success against some of the other SWAC West division opponents that they have coming up? Because Prairie View, I'm trying to see who they have next.
They go to the reservation next week. They take on Alcorn.
And you know what? It's hard to win on the reservation. And granted, Alcorn hasn't played their best football either. Like, let's keep it real. But again, in division play, and it's more specifically in conference play, you can almost throw records out. And especially these wild games between from just being in Mississippi, when Alcorn plays certain teams, you just never know which version of Alcorn you might get.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. And, Coach Jackson, he said the thing that we need to do better. They didn't get it done this week. He said we need to do better in the passing game. Yep. He said our passing game is going to help us be able to have more of an effective run because when you start going up against some of the better defenses in the league, like Alcorn does, even though they're 0-4, Alcorn does have some guys on defense that can play the run a little bit.
Right.
So if you're not going to be able to pass the ball, speaking of Tevin Carter or Christian or Cam Peters, if you're not going to be able to throw the ball, then teams are going to just commit to putting another guy in the box to try to stop that run. But for right now, hey, if the run's working and it's doing it for you, continue to do it. But just, down the road, they're going to have to figure some things out to be a little bit more multiple. And then if you're Grambling, go ahead.
Oh, no, for sure. To your point, I was just saying, when it comes to football, like, you have to have a solid quarterback, no matter what. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a quarterback who throws for 300 to 350 yards per game, but you have to have some type of continuity and consistency in the offense to have to be able to set up the run and really, have a prolific offense.
Yeah, and for Grambling, we didn't really know who they really could be. We got a glimpse of who they could be last week against East Texas A&M because they only played, they played Langston, and then they had to Ohio State, and then they had to struggle to get through Kentucky State.
Yes.
So you really didn't know who they were yet.
Right.
So with Grambling, like, what are your thoughts on them? Like, are they still an enigma to you, or what do you think?
I don't really, I still can't put my full pulse on Grambling yet. I think that they ran into a pretty stout. I think Prairie View did a good job in limiting the things that they really wanted to do. And I think that this was the first game in SWAC play, specifically on it was a SWAC West game against, a critical opponent. And I think that, like, there's still time for them to make adjustments. But at the end of the day, like, I'm still kind of up in the air about Grambling. I didn't expect Zay-T said to throw 3 interceptions yesterday. That was not on my bingo card.
Me either. Well, Grambling, they get a bye week. So, they're going to have to go and they're going to have to refresh and they're going to have to get some things right. And Prairie View, they're going to keep on going down that road because now they're into that critical stretch that they have because they go at Alcorn, then they have their bye week. And then after the bye week, then they go to Southern.
Yep.
So
that's a tough stretch.
Tough stretch, but so far so good if you're Prairie View.
Yeah.
All right. So let's hold on. Sorry. Hold on. My fault. There we go. Yeah. So what I wanted to kind of back up now, and I want to go to this game, man. Oh my gosh. This right here. All right. If y'all didn't see this game, man.
All I can do is laugh at this one.
Oh my God. If y'all did not see this game, Lord, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's set this up, man. Okay, so Valley. They're doing all the things that they need to do. They have a 20-14 lead.
Yep.
Midway through the fourth quarter. Have the ball. They find a way to just get us away. They get a safety. They still stop Texas Southern on downs as they're driving.
Yep.
You get the ball with just over 3 minutes to go. Then you come up nearing the 2-minute timeout. You got the ball on your own 45-yard line, up 20-16, and you decide not punt the ball. We're going to fake it.
Yep. Yep.
And didn't get it. And the very next play, KJ Cooper, 50 yards in the air, down inside the 5-yard line. Athian Renfro, 2 plays after that, touchdown. 23-20. I have absolutely no idea what the hell is going on in this, man. Try to make some sense of this, man.
Why, you see my face? Shout out to Charles Bishop, who was on the call for this game, because I told him this week, I said, we teased him on Dr. Cavill's show. We said, this might end up being a crazy game, right? And here we are. It's 23-20. They lost. But I just thought to myself, I said, okay, when I saw this, because I was watching a couple different games before tuning into this one a little bit more, I said to myself, okay, Valley's winning. Like, they're going to pull out this first win, because I actually predicted Valley to beat Texas Southern. I went off on a ledge and said Valley could get this win. So when I saw that, my prediction looked really good. Never would I have thought that they were going to go for this fake punt. And then the very next play, it results in a touchdown for Texas Southern, KJ Cooper, like you just mentioned. This was classic meltdown Valley. Like, so close to winning games. Like, no, seriously. So
You're right.
Winning games. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, we are who we thought they were. And literally, but I say that to say this. I still think this is a decent Valley team. This was a game that they will remember, like, going through the rest of the season, that they should have had. This was a game that they should have won. There was no way they were supposed to lose this game. But on the Texas Southern side, you survived.
Yeah, you did.
You found a way to win, because you were not. First of all, if you're Texas Southern and if you know the way Coach Dishman is, I know that while he's glad that they won this game, he was probably on the inside thinking to himself, like, we didn't show up like we needed to show up to win a game, or like we were one of the, top contenders to win the SWAC West, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about that, they got a lot of things to clean up. I said on one of the shows with HBCU Game Day last week about Texas Southern being one of the teams to come to the office. Like, if I had to give a report card to kind of sit down and talk to them about, this is how I feel about Texas Southern. And again, you get a win, but at the same time, it's like, hey, what's going on? Where's the disconnect coming from? Like, because at the end of the day, as much as you would like to see, and I probably speak for a lot of SWAC fans, you want to see Valley win more games. But if you're Texas Southern, you're thinking like, we almost lost to Valley. Like, legitimately, we almost lost to Valley. So at the end of the day, no game is going to be easy in this conference ever.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Valley outgained those boys. Y'all see it right there.
Yep.
436 to 290. Completely. Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, and this is what KD said, the coach's call be very interesting in the morning. You're right. Because I was thinking about, I said, Lord, I said, if Texas Southern lose this game, I said, man, Coach Dishman was short the last 2 weeks. Ooh. I said, how's he going to be when we get on there and talk to him? I said, he probably won't even want to do the call. Now it's going the other way. Because, you know, if I'm the first one to ask a question to Coach Buckley, you already know where I'm going. I'm just telling America right now, I'm going right there on that first question. So, Coach, on the fake punt, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, like, they were not moving the ball at all.
No.
At all.
No.
And you decided, I mean, all you had to do, if you'd have punted the ball, make them go the length of the field.
Yep.
They needed a touchdown to beat you. Man, Valley.
That was a game that was a game they were supposed to have.
Yeah, man. Like he said, it's rough in these SWAC streets. You're right, man. It's rough out here. It's rough.
Very rough. And it doesn't get easier each week, man. The more we get into the month of October, and really, like, once we get through like the mid portion of October and early November, it gets even crazier, especially in the SWAC West where Texas Southern is.
Yeah, man. So everybody hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. So I'm gonna go back here now. We'll go into the MEAC here. We'll dip into that real quick here. Yeah. This game right here, I want to talk about this, man. Yeah,
this is one I watched a lot too.
Man. All right. So first off, so if those of you, if you didn't see this game, Sacred Heart and Delaware State, they got into a little bit of jawing in the pregame. Okay. Some pushing, some shoving, a little bit of making acquaintance with each other. Okay. Yep. Everybody gets a unsportsmanlike conduct. So you start the game, everybody's got an unsportsmanlike conduct. Everybody already knows you better be on your best behavior. Okay. So they start the game. Marquise Gillis gets a 75-yarder for a touchdown, 7-0. Jack Snyder leads them back down. They tie the game. Then Caden Bennett gets a rushing TD. And then you saw how it happened. You described the action for the people.
Man, when I say seeing him get ejected from that game, I was like, man, like, this is when I first saw it, I said to myself, this is not good for Delaware State in no capacity. And that's not knowing how well their backup quarterback and Jaden Soiree was going to be for them in this game. But I said to myself, this was not this didn't need to happen to Delaware State, especially this early in the game. I was actually shocked that they were still able to kind of hang in this game based off the quarterback in Jaden Soiree. When he first came in, I was thinking to myself, I don't really know much about this guy, but I will say this, for someone who came in as a backup, he played well.
Yes, he did.
He made some passes when he first came in. I said to myself, oh, this guy, he might be the backup quarterback. He's not shy of the moment at all. As you can see, the stats there, 12 of 18, 207 yards and a touchdown. But obviously, Marquise Gillis played a big part in helping him kind of navigate that role as the backup quarterback and really moving the ball for the Hornets offense. But here's the thing. This was a game that Delaware State also could have won. But they lost continuity in the second half, specifically in the latter half of the second half. And that's when Sacred Heart really kind of basically went balls to the wall and said to themselves, like, okay, we can still win this game because they're not afraid of anything that the Hornets defense is showing them. And Jack Snyder, he's a gamer.
Yes, he is.
You have to play them to the very end.
Yeah, yeah, and Howard's going to play them after their bye, and we'll get to talk about Howard here in a minute. But
Yeah.
yes, Chris Silas, you said, can we talk about their starting quarterback getting ejected for? Yeah, you're right, for taunting and high-fiving the crowd. Yeah, this one right here, this one really was a head scratcher to me. Now, the explanation that they gave was he didn't hand the ball back to the official in time, which I'm not buying that.
Yeah, nah. When I saw that, I was just like, okay, if that's what you want to do. I mean, that, by rules per se from the officials, okay, if that's what you want to say. But at the end of the day, I wasn't a big fan of it.
No, nobody was. And it made the rounds on social media. I thought it was so unfortunate because, the kid has been, he's been doing his thing. They've been leading, they've been doing some really good things.
He's been having a strong season. Like, obviously coming in 3-1. And in each one of those games, he had been having strong performances. Of course, in addition to what Marquise Gillis was doing on the ground, but like he was a pivotal force in them being able to play as well as they've played in the first 4 weeks of the season. So to see him go out from that type of ejection, I was just like, okay, next man up. But man, I just felt like it was a little soft.
Yeah. And they still had their chances, man. They led 31-17 at half.
Yep.
But like to your point, they just couldn't keep it going in the second half. They didn't get any points in the second half. They were outgained 232-121. And Jack Snyder got those guys going, and they found a way to pull it out at home. And in the end, man, this was a game that Delaware State, they're going to have to, get themselves together because Monmouth is no joke, man. Those guys are ranked.
Oh, yeah. No, you're talking about one of the top FCS programs in the country in the top 25 coming into this matchup. And then when you think about it, too, though, a loss like this to a Sacred Heart team, if you're Coach Jackson, yes, you lost the game and you're not happy that you lost the game, but it does also kind of give you a certain stance of saying like, okay, this is where we are right now, right? Like we really still have room to grow, but it also says that you have a little depth too, because anytime you can have a backup quarterback to kind of come in and help you still be able to move the ball, like you said, they had a lead at halftime. If they were still able to continue to execute, or let's take it a step further, if you had your starting quarterback still in, do you lose this game?
I don't think so, man. I think if because these guys, they're leading FCS in total yards rushing.
Yep.
They got another 286 yards rushing in this game. So, and Caden Bennett is a big part of that. Jaden Saray, he's really not really the dual threat like Caden Bennett is.
Yeah.
But I believe that they would have won this game, and that call, it made a big difference. But Delaware State, they'll learn from it. But one of the things that D-Jack says all the time, he says, I stress to these guys about the importance of discipline. Yep. No silly penalties. And, this game, they all cost themselves and put themselves in that position by the way that they were conducting themselves during the pregame, getting those unsportsmanlike fouls on everybody. So, but, they'll be back. They're still a long way. And, in the MEAC, it's always about that last 5.
I was about to say, and you won't really get into that until as it gets closer to Halloween. So the MEAC is very much still wide open.
Yep. Now, I got to talk about Norfolk State here, man. This game right here, I thought when they raced out 13-0, I was like, all right, business as usual. They'll go ahead on. They'll take care of business. And then all of a sudden, the things that they've been doing, turning the ball over and not being disciplined on defense, that came up and struck them again.
No, it did. And when I think about Norfolk State and when I saw that 13-0 lead, I said to myself, okay, they have this lead, but are they going to have any type of like stagnation in the second half? Are they going to be able to maintain this, whether it's from, play call and execution? And I think you began to kind of see that that's where the decline started to happen. And then you talk about Wagner kind of woke up some. You talk about their quarterback in Jordan Barton, 2 touchdown passes, specifically his leadership of that in commanding their offense in the second half was brilliant. And I think that, with Norfolk State not showing up again when it matters the most, that just really hurt them in this game.
Yeah, I mean, scoreless in 5 second half possessions. Yep. You saw it. 3 punts, 2 interceptions. This is an ugly loss, man, because this was a winnable game there on Staten Island. And now you're looking at 1-4. and it's 3 losses in a row to be 1-4. And now they're going to play Hampton in the Battle of the Bay next week. And man, this is getting ugly pretty fast for Norfolk State, man. I mean, they I thought this was going to be one of those games that was going to give them a nice little shot in the arm, get them put on the right way, because they've got Hampton, then they got Wofford, then they get a much needed bye week, and then they start the MEAC play with South Carolina State coming to them for their homecoming. Yeah. Now, I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, like it's going to be interesting. And this is also a Hampton team that, of course, we know Hampton to be physical. That's not going to be an easy matchup for them.
No.
And you can best to believe that, and I like to remember this from being closely connected to Jackson State's program when Deion Sanders was still there. Like when players of an opposing team plays against a coach that, like that of that magnitude with certain players, they're going to get up for that game. I can assure you that when Hampton steps on the field against Norfolk State, having a coach like Michael Vick leading this program, they're gonna get the best from everybody.
Yeah,
and they're gonna get the best from everybody, and this is gonna definitely have to be a game where they're gonna have to be ready on their P's and Q's, and it's a rivalry game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll see it. I'll take a look at it. Now these boys, this game, no defense, none.
I was mad about the amount of points that they allow East Texas A&M to score in this game. And I'm sure, and I'm not a coach by no stretch of the imagination, but I can almost imagine, and knowing the coach for North Carolina Central, giving up 42 points to a team that hadn't won a game.
Right.
Yeah, granted, you scored 50, but you give up 42. And the thing is, they were up at one point, I think, by what, 3 scores?
It was 50-28 with like 6 minutes or 7 minutes left in the game.
Exactly. I'm thinking to myself, this is done. This is not even going to be close. Granted, they won the game, but at the same time, you always want to finish a game strong. And especially when you're a team like North Carolina Central, who basically, between North Carolina Central and South Carolina State, those are the teams essentially to beat when you start talking about the MEAC, right? And you want to set a certain precedent that, like, okay, yes, we're going to win a game, but we're going to win the game in a dominant fashion. Giving up 40-plus points to a team, granted from the Southland, that hadn't won a game all season, that's not the recipe for success long term.
Yeah, and the other thing you're not going to like is that 3 receivers there, Jourdain, Harrison, and Matthews, all 3 of them had 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. And Matthews had 2 touchdowns. And Ron Peace wasn't even their starter. Eric Rodriguez was their starter. Ron Peace comes in and throws for 356 on you. So, man, these guys now the Central gets, and forgive me, everybody, their record is 4-2. I forgot to change that. North Carolina Central is 4-2. So with 6 straight weeks of playing, they now get a bye week before they go play Florida A&M, and they need it because you kind of started. I started to sense what looked like it was fatigue on their part towards the end of the game, and they definitely had to be stretched out. But credit them, Walker Harris. Again, no interceptions this week. That makes a couple weeks in a row where he's had no interceptions, so he's been taking care of the ball.
Right.
Chauncey Spikes, he was there, 113. They gained 5-10. It wasn't last week getting 767, but hey, 5-10, that's great. But you give up 457, that's something you're gonna talk about a lot during the bye week.
457 and 42 points to a team that hadn't won a game this season. I mean,
exactly.
Again, you just have to know when you want to be a championship team, and especially as you get closer to conference play, and because conference play specifically for the MEAC, it starts so later in the season. So whatever you're seeing from any of these MEAC teams right now, you hate to say it doesn't matter because it does, but at the same time, you know that if they're playing as bad as they are, and I'm not saying that they're playing bad, but like however bad you may play now, it's not going to be the same level of bad you're going to play later on. So
exactly,
you giving up 42 points to this team, what does that mean for some of the opponents that you might face in conference play and that tape that they're going to see? Now, granted, I also want to say this too, because this sometimes goes without saying. When you don't necessarily face the quarterback that you expect to face, and it's a backup quarterback, and it's not that much tape to think about or consider, with a backup, you don't necessarily know what this quarterback is going to always do. But
Facts.
I still don't think I still don't think you should be able to give up 42 points and 457 yards of offense.
Facts. And even inside of this, it came down to an onside kick that they had to recover at that. So,
yeah,
hey, Trey Oliver, they'll be back at the drawing board.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, I'll just quickly say this because MEAC Mike will get on me if I don't say nothing. Morgan State, come on, man. Y'all got to be better than this now.
Oh, yeah.
They needed to block a field goal and return it for a touchdown by Jaden Carter to pull this game out. The stats, these guys had no passing yards. They could not run the ball on an 0-5 Miles team. And you see that 15 penalties for 166 total yards. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
So Morgan State, next week you're going to play Georgetown. They got to be better than this, man. I'll give you a quick statement on this, and then we'll move to South Carolina State because that's the next head scratcher.
Oh, no, it is. When you know a coach like specifically Morgan State's coach and Damon Wilson, discipline is typically the standard, right? 15 penalties. I can only imagine what he's going to tell those players when they go back to practice tomorrow in preparation for this next game. That can't happen again. Not just for when they get to conference play, for another game this season, period. Because that's not a recipe for success. That's number one. Number two, I don't know if it was the fact that they thought that, okay, this is a Miles team from SIAC. Obviously Sam Shea doesn't reside there anymore because he's in Alabama A&M now. Maybe this is just a team that we just gonna wake up and we just gonna play, and it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. But you still have to, prepare for every opponent the same. I don't want to necessarily say that they were looking over an opponent, but it definitely gave vibes of just like, okay, we're just not looking like the typical Morgan State team that we typically look like on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, this was a complete struggle. Now they got to win. They got to win, but that's ugly.
Yeah.
Ugly.
That's concerning.
Yeah, very concerning. And now speaking of concerning, this right here, okay, Charleston Southern had not won a game since early last year.
Yep.
Early. 14-game losing streak. This game, now, so there's the things that concerns me if you're a South Carolina State follower and fan. And I had Kobe Orr on this show a couple weeks ago, and I know Kobe. I thought about you, Kobe.
Yeah, I know he was not happy last night.
Yeah, I know, Kobe. I know you was pissed off, bruh. Just the fact that, number one, they never had a lead in this game. That's number one, okay? Number two, you turned the ball over again 3 times, and they were all fumbles. Yep. That is another thing that has been plaguing South Carolina State. Okay. When they're good, they're really good. But when they start turning that ball over, they're really ordinary.
Yep.
And then they fell behind 14-0. They were swimming upstream the whole game. They kept tying it, come back, tie it. And then somehow, some way, a turnover would help the Buccaneers be able to extend chances, get more chances, and eventually they put you away with Kamarian Baldwin getting a 10-yard run with 106 remaining. Man, South Carolina State, man, where you at on these guys?
Prior to this week, I have been saying on multiple shows that South Carolina State was still the sleeper team that's not getting any attention right now in the MEAC. And they're obviously the team that just recently, of course, last year were playing in the Celebration Bowl. And I pretty much said to myself, like, they're flying under the radar. Stubblefield is doing what Stubblefield does. They're still winning games. Everything is normal. And the reality was, considering that, Charleston Southern hadn't won a game since, like you said, early last year, coming into this week, I said, Big South OVC matchup against South Carolina State, I still give the edge to South Carolina State. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I definitely think that I would still give that advantage to South Carolina State. When I saw that they went down 14-0 and saw some of the turnovers start to pile up, I said, this is shocking. First of all, it's shocking, number one, but then number two, this is not a Chennisberry team that we're used to seeing turn the ball over.
Right.
This is also another team that pretty much plays sound, disciplined football. That's just the nature of who Coach Chennisberry is. And I know somebody mentioned in the comments as far as like them struggling to run the ball, that's been a couple things. That's been an issue too.
Yeah.
That we're not used to seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely been struggling to run the ball. Yeah, I thought that South Carolina State would win this game by 2 scores.
Yeah.
I really did.
For me, it was about 10 points, 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, that's about where I saw it. And for this, man, I was like, what in the world is going on?
Yep.
I mean, I'm looking at Zoltan Osborne, like, at quarterback for them. I mean, they got pressure on him. He wasn't really making a whole lot of plays.
No.
But Kamarion Baldwin, he bailed him out.
He was the game changer then pretty much for the entire game.
Yep. So, good news. Bad news is South Carolina State, you lost the game. Good news is you get Savannah State coming to you for homecoming. So, you
that
take
should be a win. Should.
Yeah. Should. Everybody hit the like button for us, man. Hit the like button. Now let's go to Howard. This game right here, I was like, come on, Howard. They were up 12-0.
Yep.
In the fourth quarter with the ball, moving in to score. And then Tariq Starks throws the first interception. That's returned 55 yards. Snellsire, the quarterback for Richmond, he was their backup. Yep. The starter, they knocked him out early in the game with a knee injury.
Yep.
Snellsire, that is not a misprint.
No.
4 for 14 passing.
He was
35 yards and a touchdown. Did nothing passing. Nothing. And that's not a misprint either. Mm-mm. Outgained 297 to 164. Howard had this game. 2 interceptions that Tariq Starks threw were on consecutive drives.
Yep.
So I talk about the 55-yard return. The next one on the very next drive was on a shovel pass.
Yep.
And before you knew it, you went from 12 up to 1 down. So talk about Howard, though. I mean, I'm still impressed with him, though. Talk about him.
This is I can remember talking to Coach Scott at MEAC Media Day, and he said this was a Howard team that was looking to basically regain its prominence of where it had been. Because again, some people may forget that this is a Howard team that was just, a couple of years ago playing in the Celebration Bowl. And, and of course, last year they had a down year. And this was a year that they were supposed to get back to the standard of Howard football. And them getting a win a couple of weeks ago against Hampton kind of was setting that tone for that. Coming up against an opponent like Richmond, I said to myself, it's going to take a full essentially 60 minutes for them to get this win. Seeing that they were up 12-0, I said to myself, the only way they don't win this game is if one or two things happen. The offense stalls out or there's some type of turnover that happens, and boom, we get 2 critical turnovers in the minutes where you in a quarter where you don't want it to happen. And if you're Tyree Starks, you're thinking to yourself, I was playing a pretty decent game up until 7, 8, 9 minutes of the fourth quarter, and this is what happens. Because to your point, Snellsire, 4 for 14, 35 yards. I'm not a math person, but that's not good at all.
No,
if you don't have those turnovers, Howard probably adds maybe another touchdown, and this game is not 13-12. As a matter of fact, Howard probably scores maybe 20, 21 points, maybe 24 points.
Yeah, and even still, and Anthony Reagan, he was another guy. Like last week, it was Travis Kearney. This week, it was Anthony Reagan.
They have a stable of running backs. They can get the job done.
Yeah, they had it. And then even still, you get the ball down the field. Matt Connard, your hero in the opener, 36-yard attempt, hits the upright.
Yep.
And Richmond never allows them to get the ball back. They run the clock out and so on and so forth. But if you're Howard, I really didn't expect a whole lot from them this year. But, the way that they've looked the last couple of weeks here, I think that I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to be a sleeper team in the MEAC. But I will say this, they're going to give somebody some fits in the MEAC.
They are. I definitely can agree with you on that. I think the only concern that I still have, because here's the thing, any game that they can run the ball on an opponent, they're going to be fine. And I mean, absolutely, from Kearney to Reagan, their rush attack on offense, no problems at all. But there are going to be some teams that they're going to face where they're not going to just be able to just run the ball per se. They're going to be able to run it, but it's not going to be as consistent as it's been within the last couple of weeks. And so if you're Tyree Starks, it's like, some of those things or some of the mistakes that you've made in the fourth quarter or that you made in the fourth quarter of yesterday's game, opposing teams that's coming up are going to watch. They're going to watch that tape and try to duplicate that to see if you can duplicate those same mistakes. So if I'm Tyree Starks and I'm Howard's offensive coordinator, I'm definitely trying to put the best game plan together to not only put him in successful opportunities to lead the offense, but knowing that there's going to be some times where he's going to have to actually make some passes in some capacity, not necessarily a lot of passes, but he's going to have a certain level of consistency to be able to allow for that running game to still remain fluent.
Absolutely. But Howard, tough loss, but they get to get a bye week this week. And next 2 weeks, they'll, 2 games, they go to Sacred Heart. And then after that, then they play their first game in Green Stadium on the 18th for their homecoming.
Yeah.
So, hey, we'll see how it goes for Howard. We'll see how it goes. Now we'll go back. We'll finish things up tonight. We'll go back to the SWAC. Now, this game right here. Man. Go ahead, talk about it.
So anybody who knows me or who has watched me on any HBCU based show, I have the utmost respect for Alonzo Hampton, man. Like the way he, no matter win, lose, or draw, and they've lost a lot of games. Let's just keep it real, keep it a buck.
Yep.
But the way that he is always all in on his players, he never gives up on his players. He never gives up on his team, and you can hear it in his voice and his passion and things like that. To see them pull out this win against Alcorn, the Southern Heritage Classic, I thought this was good to see. This is an Arkansas Pine Bluff team now that's what 2-2.
Yep.
They're how many times have we seen Arkansas Pine Bluff 2-2?
I ain't seen them 2-2 since before, like when they went to the SWAC title game during the pandemic.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago now. Yeah.
So to see them come away with this win, I thought it was well. I was also very impressed in the way that Christian Peters played. And I know you have his stats there, 20 of 32, 323 yards, a touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. If you're Arkansas Pine Bluff, you have to be telling yourself, like, we know we can win games. And I know in previous years, it's really been a situation of them hurting themselves, especially with a lot of penalties, and not only just penalties, but penalties that were hurting them in like really critical situations during a game, leading up to maybe these games getting out of hand. And then, of course, once they were out of hand, it's like, okay, you're too far behind. You're not going to be able to catch up. So I feel like if they can continue to play sound football, playing together on both sides of the ball, or getting performances like this against Alcorn and against other teams, they could make things interesting. I won't say that they're going to win the SWAC West, of course, but I would love to see them win more games this season.
Yeah, and I was equally impressed. I always enjoy talking to Coach Hampton. I had a really nice time with him at SWAC Media Day. We were talking, as a true gentleman of the game. He's got so much passion. You could tell he really loves that place. And, Christian Peters, we have been waiting. We have been waiting for this breakout because we knew who he was when he came from Shaw. Okay. Yep. And this was a game that he broke out, and he did a lot of really good things with the offense. Now, Kareem Burke came out of nowhere. He wasn't on anybody's bingo card to have 100 yards in that game.
No.
So if you're going to get some contributions like this, hey, that's great. Jalen Jennings, we knew who Jalen Jennings was because the previous game he ran for 226 against Lincoln. So, now we go to the other side. Alcorn, man, who are they a mess? Go ahead, man.
No, they are. They are. This is not what I expected from an Alcorn team this year. I can remember, thinking to myself that, I talked to Coach at SWAC Media Day, and he was saying like he was excited about the players he brought in and more of his own players coming into this season. He was excited about that. But from what we're seeing, like Alcorn just specifically, there's almost like a disconnect right now. Like they're just not connected on either side of the ball for real. Like now, granted, and you kind of mentioned this at the top, they definitely still have some playmakers on defense. That's for sure. But on offense, which is the key kicker for them, I'm worried. Jalen Tolbert, I see the numbers here, 15-28, 207 yards and a touchdown, but count on them to have a turnover of sorts at least every game. And a critical one that takes them out of a game.
Yep. And they wasted a tremendous performance by
Oh,
Chikori
man.
and Sewell.
It's not very many games you're going to run for 200 yards.
No. And let alone 225, 2 touchdowns and lose. That's Alcorn right now, though. That is Alcorn.
Yep.
Like, what could go wrong will go wrong.
Yep.
And, man, I don't really know. I don't know what they can do other than the fact that silver lining is next week is the first, if you can believe this is the first game that they're having on the reservation next week.
Yep.
The home opener on the reservation next week against Prairie View.
And that might actually make a difference because when you're a team and you start off on massive road trips to start the season, it can get tiring, man. Like it's like you going in and out of, you come back for practice, of course, at home, but then you're going on the road every weekend. You're not sleeping in your same bed. You're away from the continuity of your home crowd and everything that that's normal. And you're going on the road, and it's just like you're going into a different environment, and it can just be hard to win. And one thing about playing at Alcorn, for those that have never been to Alcorn, it's a raucous environment too. Mm-hmm. It's not. I won't say that it's not a fun place to play. Well, if you're a fan, it's fun. But as far as like an opposing team, it can be hard to win down there as well. So I'm hoping that maybe they could right the ship again. It's kind of sucks that they have Prairie View as their first home game, considering where Prairie View is right now. Kind of the favorite per se in the SWAC West in a way. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond to a team. Because, sometimes when you're a team that's not performing like you need to, but you play against a team that essentially is like, I guess you could say is the favorite, you play up to the competition. Maybe they play up to the competition. Maybe it leads to a win. I wouldn't necessarily have Alcorn beating Prairie View right now, but it's possible.
Yeah. So he said Alcorn for the win next week against PV. I don't know.
We'll see. I can't say it right now. I cannot.
David, tune in to me Wednesday. I'll have a pick for you. So lastly, I'll finish with my team, Alabama A&M, man.
I was not happy about this one.
Our defense, there was no defense really. You saw neither way.
I was shocked by that because I said to myself, Sam Shade, Alabama A&M, the way that they've been playing these first couple weeks of the season, I'm like, surely 41 points to Bethune-Cookman. And this no discredit to the Wildcats because believe it or not, people forget that last season, Bethune-Cookman, they didn't necessarily win a lot of games, but they could absolutely score.
Yeah, they could.
They could put up some points in bunches. So I think that when I saw the final score of this game and then just thinking about Alabama, I was like, this was somewhat of a bad loss for y'all.
Yeah, we just couldn't stop these guys, man. I mean, Cam Ransom, like he hits Javon Ross on their very first play from scrimmage, a 79-yarder in stride, a dime down the sideline for a touchdown. Yeah. Javon Ross scored on a double reverse, 41-yarder. Eric Hanley, I gotta say. And so somebody asked earlier about Quad Brown. Yeah, and here it is again. So Quad Brown had an ankle injury. Okay, he was questionable coming in. So as you saw, he did not play. Now, the question again, we'll see what his status is for next week. But despite the fact that he didn't play, offense wasn't a problem. Eric Hanley was great. You saw that 355, 3 touchdowns. Frank Pierre, the transfer from Miles, 156, 2 touchdowns. Like, they did some really good things offensively. But the problem was you get outgained 516 to 481.
Yep.
And that was the story of it. And the question that a lot of people had watching the game, and some of the fellow A&M people that are watching this right now probably had some of the same feelings. The game, it was 34-31. We were trailing. It was about a couple minutes left in the game, and we were 4th and goal from the 1.5 yard line, and we decided to kick the field goal and tie it. And the question was asked in my From the Hill podcast group. Shout out to those guys. They said, well, what would you have done? Would you have kicked the field goal to tie it, or would you have gone for it? And personally, while I was watching it, I was like, let's go for it.
Yeah,
Because in my mind,
Bethune-Cookman hadn't really showed you anything that they were going to stop you.
Exactly. In my mind, I was almost like, hey, let's take the lead and let's force them to go length of the field, needing to get a touchdown to beat us.
Right.
Now, they ended up going the length of the field to beat us anyway. But at the end of the day, offensively, A&M, look, they haven't been stopped yet offensively.
No. Oh, offense is not the problem. Even and to your point of even with you guys having the backup quarterback and Eric Hanley, the issue is definitely very much so the defense. And it doesn't necessarily get easier for you guys because you guys go to Mobile next week against Jackson State.
Yeah, man. And, I'm going to talk about that coming up here in a second. So we'll transition over. We'll show a little bit of the standings as they currently reside. This is the East. So you see Alabama State is off to a 1-0 along with Jackson State and Bethune-Cookman. So you got 3 teams that are off to a 1-0 start, which is pretty good for those teams. And then you see the 3 that are off to an 0-1. In Valley, you should have been 1-0, Valley.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I still can't wrap my head around that one.
Look, as much as we try, we still won't be able to figure it out.
Nah.
But this is the East, so you see where they all stand. And then here's the West. Prairie View's leading the way with a 2-0 record. Virtue of that opening game win over Texas Southern.
Yep.
And Texas Southern is lucky to be 1-1, but there they are. And then take a picture of it if you're UAPB fans. You're 1-0 in league play.
Right now.
Right now, take a picture of it. Take a picture of it. And then you see down at the bottom, the 0-1s got some work to do.
Yep.
Got some work to do.
But what should stand out to you, and I know you probably looked at this list a lot, the 0-0 in the West for Southern. They're 1-4 overall.
Yeah.
But they hadn't played a SWAC West game yet.
Nope, they ain't played one of your 5 in that division yet.
Yep. That's gonna I've already said to myself, just like every other year, SWAC West is gonna continue to be wacky.
It is the wild, wild west, as Cool Mo D used to say.
Yep.
So now I'll transition over to my ride tokens for this week. And second straight week, I decided to go with 3 offensive guys. So the first one, very obvious. You got to go Jacoby and Morgan. All right. Paris, if you're watching the show, Paris, or if you watch this on replay, Paris, I took care of y'all this week because she usually give me a hard time about Jackson State not being in the ride tokens.
Yeah.
So Jacobian, 21 of 31, 337, 2 TDs. Great job, young lad. Javon Ross, I saw you kill us yesterday.
Yep.
You had 108 yards receiving, and you had the touchdown on the 41-yard double reverse. And there were a couple other times where he could have made a couple other game-breaking plays.
Yep.
So all the talk was about Huggins, the other receiver.
Yeah.
But
yesterday, Ross just said, "Let me just make a path for me."
Yeah. Let me just go ahead on, and I'm gonna introduce myself.
Exactly.
And then here you go, D-Lo. D-Lo, just for you, man. Christian Peters makes this list. He was great yesterday. 20 of 32, 323, a touchdown, and he had the game winner rush touchdown with just over 5 minutes remaining. So that is my 3 offensive ride tokens. No defender this week in favor of I know it's ugly. Morgan State. Oof. But when you make a play like you did Jaden Carter, returning it 94 to the house to get your team the win, you make the ride token list.
Listen, if he didn't make that play and they lose that game, it's a lot of question marks at Morgan State right now.
Too many.
Oh, yeah.
Too many question marks.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my ride tokens of the week. And yeah, he said Christian Peters took care of the ball. Yes, he did. And you're going to need him. You're going to need him to take care of the ball moving forward. But ladies and gentlemen, those are the ride tokens for week number 5. All right. And then last but not least tonight, man, we got next week's schedule. So we start with the SWAC. So on SWAC TV, this game is actually going to be played at Houston Christian. And the reason being is because the shell is being used for another event. So Texas Southern is going to host UAPB at a neutral site. It's still in Houston, but it ain't going to be the Shell.
Right.
So SWAC TV for that night game. Then you got homecoming down there in Montgomery, where you got Bethune-Cookman coming off a win, feeling good about themselves, going to take on Alabama State. That's also on SWAC TV.
Yep.
And I'll get your thoughts on these in just a second.
Okay.
Got Prairie View. This is a big one for Prairie View to keep their momentum going as they hit the reservation. Also on SWAC TV, and which is surprisingly a home opener for Alcorn. Then the Georgia Football Classic in Atlanta. I'm still scratching my head on how they playing this game there. But FAMU going to play Valley, trying to get their lick back on Valley. That'll be on SWAC TV. Shout out to Mo Carter. Mo Carter's calling that game. He told me, he said, I'm trying to figure out some things and some material for this game next week. So we'll see. And then last but not least on the SWAC slate, should be some points scored, I think, down there in Mobile. Gulf Coast Challenge. HBCU Go is the channel for this one. Jackson State against Alabama A&M. Your thoughts on the SWAC slate?
So SWAC slate, starting with Arkansas Pine Bluff at Texas Southern. This is a toss-up, man. Just because Texas Southern hasn't necessarily wowed me, considering they just barely got past Mississippi Valley. Arkansas Pine Bluff coming off the win against Alcorn. Here's the thing. I would like to give the edge to Arkansas Pine Bluff if Christian Peters plays almost identical to what he played against Alcorn. Mm-hmm. If he can do that and Arkansas Pine Bluff does not shoot themselves, does not kill themselves in penalties, refrains from turning the ball over, Peters plays well, I think they can come out of Texas Southern in Houston with a win. Alabama State and Bethune-Cookman, man, if we thought that Cam Ransom had a strong game this past weekend, he's going to get tested with the Hornets secondary. Eddie Robinson, you know he's going to have it dialed up on defense to throw some different looks at him to confuse him. My biggest thing is basically, can Bethune-Cookman slow down Andrew Body? And can they slow down the Hornets rushing attack? Considering they've given up a lot of points, I don't know. I got Alabama State winning this game. They're not going to lose homecoming. Prairie View at Alcorn. It's hard to win at Alcorn.
Yeah, it is.
It is extremely hard to win at Alcorn. However, and knowing that the SWAC West is wacky, I'm still going to give the edge to Prairie View. I think Tremaine Jackson gets the job done. FAMU at Mississippi Valley. Man, oh man, I didn't expect Valley to beat FAMU last year.
Nobody did. No one.
I'm a little scared to say that FAMU is going to be Valley now, because just of some of the inconsistencies. And again, I still, even though the wins haven't added up for Valley yet, I don't think this is the typical Valley team, although they just lost a game in typical Valley fashion.
Right.
But I would like to think that this will be, I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I would like to give the edge just going into this game. I'm going to still give the edge to FAMU just based off the fact that Valley beat them last year. I'm going to give the edge to FAMU. Now, they might make me mad, but I'm going to give the edge to FAMU in this regard. Now, this Jackson State and A&M game, I've been saying Alabama A&M is my dark horse all season since the season started, just because of, the caliber of coach that Sam Shade is, and then just the number of weapons that you all have on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Jackson State team, obviously coming off of a win, against Southern. And if Jacoby and Morgan is flying on all cylinders, this is going to be, to your point, a high-scoring game. But I would like to think that the defenses from both sides will show up a little bit more, considering that no defense was really showing up. This was a high-scoring affair. Now, granted, they were up on you all, I want to say 2 or 3 touchdowns early in that second half of last year's game. And then, of course, you guys scored more points in the latter half once the game was kind of decided. But I'm going to still give the edge to Jackson State.
Yeah. Look at Timona. Come on, Timona. at least let me get to the Wednesday show. It said it won't be at least let me get to Wednesday. But anyway.
That's classic Timonia, man.
I know. I'm going to talk about, I'll preview these games Wednesday. But yeah, this will be really good, man. This is the SWAC slate. And then as we switch over, this is the MEAC slate. So you got Delaware State going to play Monmouth. I didn't see a network listed for that, but we'll see. Yeah. You got Savannah State. That's homecoming down there in Orangeburg. That'll be on ESPN Plus. And then Morgan State will go down there and play Georgetown. So they're not taking a far trip, going about maybe 35, 40 minutes, maybe, just going over there to DC.
Yeah.
Yeah, not far. Nice little bus trip.
Yep, essentially.
Yep, going to play there on ESPN Plus. And then Big South OVC, Tennessee State tries to get on the board as they go to Eastern Illinois. That'll be on ESPN Plus. And then your CAA games, both of them on Flow College Sports. The Battle of the Bay with Norfolk State going to play Hampton, and then you got A&T going to play William and Mary. So that's what we got. And then bye week for Howard, and also a bye week for North Carolina Central. So that's where things are in those regards. But yeah, man, that's what we got.
What we got. MEAC slate, that first game, Delaware State versus Monmouth, and we kind of alluded to it when we were talking about some of the top FCS teams. We mentioned Monmouth is one of those teams. I don't know if Delaware State gets a win against Monmouth. Just keeping it real. Savannah State at South Carolina State. I think this is a bounce back game for South Carolina State. It's homecoming in Orangeburg, so I think South Carolina State comes out with the win there. Morgan State at Georgetown. This is a game that Morgan State needs. I don't necessarily know if they're going to win it, but they definitely need it. Tennessee State, I don't see them getting this win. I'm going to give the edge to that Norfolk State and Hampton, man. That's tough. It's tough because, I mean, I want to say that the Spartans will get it done, but something tells me that Hampton is probably going to – I'm going to give the edge to Hampton there. I don't see A&T winning that game either.
Yeah. So that's the slate, man. That's the slate for next week. So, man, I appreciate you coming by and spending time with your boy, man. This was great. Definitely will look forward to connecting with you even more. Where can people find you next, man? You're summer everywhere.
Yeah, man. I just been all over the place this summer with WNBA, and women's college basketball season will be starting up again. But of course, we're knee deep. We're getting into the knee deep portion of football. So you can follow me on Twitter at Wilton Reports, Facebook Wilton Jackson. That's pretty much where I'm at. All
right, man. I appreciate you for coming out and joining me, man. And we'll definitely be talking some more.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you for having me.
Anytime, man. All right. That's Wilton Jackson, man. See you later, my boy.
All
right. So that was Wilton Jackson on tonight, and it was a great show. So I'll be back before you on Wednesday evening with the wild picks and the predictions for week number 6. If you can believe that, we're on week number 6 already. You saw the slate. I'll go through it. I'll make my picks. I'll tell you where I got shredded in a lot of my picks from this week, my ledger and all that good stuff. But before you leave, everybody hit the like button. Also subscribe if you have not subscribed, and share this show with somebody, man. We're doing some really good things here on the ride. So thank you all for coming out. God bless you and good night.
Thank you for joining us on the ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright. As you exit the ride, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the like button, and catch up on all of our prior episodes. Until next time, God bless.